All right. How are you guys doing? Is the sound working? Maybe not. Hold on. Do I have my microphone? Yes, my microphone seems to be working. Please confirm that you can hear me. So who do we have? Kilo Golf 5 Alpha India Romeo. Andrea from Germany. Oh, I have to cut off the sound here on my other screen, second computer. Casey BARO from Michigan. Lord me, everything 5.9. Okay, great, thank you. Sound is okay, excellent. Confirmation from Andy and Lord Mimis. Joe Mercado, welcome aboard. It's been a while, guys. It's been a while since my last video and last live stream. So, all right, it's working really well. We have the chat on the left. We have the number of people, 34 people so far. I did announce it on Facebook, so I don't know if you saw it there, but I'm going to cut the K1 here. I have my K1 is on 30 meters. There is a contest right now going on, so that's why I'm on 30 meters. CW. All right, who else is here now? AI7 HP, welcome aboard. GD from Scotland. DL4 Fly, that's a nice call sign there. You're a pilot. Andy Leatherbarrow, West England. Marky Shaw, Stefan Mathlassen, Denmark. Very good. A very international gathering today. I'm going to let people come in a little bit for a few minutes. This is going to be probably, as usual, a long live stream, but I know you guys don't mind that, so. Camworks, Bernie Mozart, California. Sorry to hear that. just kidding. Bernard, okay, that's my father's name. Very good. So as you can see, I have the K1 right here with my Big Alley Traveler's Light paddles. Very nice paddles. And that's about it. I really hesitated, choosing the K1 for today, but that's my favorite radio. So, and like I said, there is a contest going on, so it's it's pretty much the only choice I have right now. I could have gone digital, I guess, but it's mostly going to be a talking video today. So, talking about what's going on in the world. So, I'm going to stray a bit from being, a 90% radio channel. We'll talk a little bit about prepping and survival, but and it's we need to stay positive. I mean, things are not looking up, like I said, but I think there is hope, definitely, and we're not there yet, so we'll just remain positive and but just be ready just in case. So we're going to talk about that a bit on top of radio, things to do for radio to prepare for something like that. All right, so who else? Okay, smell the coffee. Yeah, well, I do have some. Coffee. Actually, I put chocolate in it as well. So I'm all set up. All right, so who else? AG Play TX500, that's a good one. The be careful though, because the one I borrowed last time, I had an issue with it. I used an antenna that had some RF feedback, common mode current, and it fried the BF amplifier. So You have to be careful about that. Maybe use choke. Maybe the latest ones have a better BF amplifier, but so it was a component to change to, you know, it's just fried. So one thing to be careful about. But it's a really good radio. Bonjour de grâce. Oh, Morgan. Oh, he's right next door. Well, not right next door, but maybe. I don't know. Grasse is like 45 minutes from here, maybe. Yeah. Excellent. Nous sommes à côté, pourtant nous faisons quand même le tour du monde par les serveurs. Yeah. I remember when I first heard about the internet, they said, you know, somebody sending an email, it goes from the west coast to the east coast and back. And I'm like, this is totally stupid, you know. But of course, it's very common now. Speed of light. All right. Coffee and chocolate is the bomb. Yeah, I mix them, and yeah, it's really good. Probably shouldn't drink coffee that late. Well, it's here it's 3 p.m., so it's not too bad. All right, Gary Winters, Michigan. KC8ARO, yeah, any Lee Wind, Jockey Coffee, Armageddon, yeah, might as well, you know. Eric Drouin, salut de Eric, Canada, Québec, VE2K, LKR. It's getting pretty hot in Canada. KC8ARO, okay, Gary Winters. All right, so 42 people. I guess we're going to start in a minute or two. Perth, I've been to Perth. And I went to see the pinnacles over there. Before I took a plane to, where did I go? I think it was Broome. Yeah, Broome, northwest. And then I took the bus to Darwin, and then down to Catherine and to Alice Springs. Yep. And I was hitchhiking too on the east coast a little bit. I didn't go to Queensland. That's too bad. I ran out of money before I got there. And that was a long time ago. I was pretty young. That was in like early 90s. But yeah, I was in Perth for a few days. Very nice city. Bought another HF rig to hide during the confiscation. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, coffee, Matt. Thank you. So yeah, thank you very much for the coffee. And I'll tell you, it helps a great deal because I'm really broke right now. And one of the reasons that I haven't done videos lately also is that my truck has sprung a leak, an oil leak. So you can follow me just by following the oil on the ground. So I can't use it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get a ticket and risk damaging the engine. So no car, no truck anymore for the time being, and I can't afford to fix it. So go ahead with the coffees or Patreon. Sign up on Patreon. That would help a great deal. All right, so my rig runs on battery with separate charger. Right. And I use, I have solar panels. No, actually, did I put it back in the box? Whoops, sorry about the noise. I have this one, for instance. That's well, it's stated it's given for 50 watts, but I'm pretty sure it's not 50 watts. It's probably 25, maybe, but it's got a USB connectors and a 12 volt, well, 18 volt connector here, so I can use it with charge regular batteries with an MPPT charger. So definitely something to have. The thing that, for what we're talking about, nuclear explosion, for instance, you want to protect that into a metal box, because, and that's why it's in a metal box, because there is a diode in there, and there's a circuit, actually a charging circuit, PCB, inside this little box here, and that would get fried immediately in case of an EMP. So definitely something to think about. Same thing with your radios, of course. I have a bunch of radios in that box, and handhelds that I have stored to hand out to my neighbors if I need to, and I think that's a good precaution. H83OOM, welcome. All right, so okay, precaution number one, I guess, for radio would indeed be to put your radios in a Faraday cage, any kind of box, metal box, and you don't want the radio to touch the inside of the box, so you put your radio in a plastic bag or a cardboard box, and you put that inside your metal box. And I actually use also tea, metal tin cans for tea, and I buy tin cans that's sold in the kitchenware aisle at the supermarket, and they have those boxes. Also cracker boxes, metal, that also work really well. The good thing, of course, you have to eat the crackers before, so I don't mind that. I'll do it. So a good thing to do is to have your gear, all your electronics actually, and I would suggest making sure that you store also in a Faraday cage not only your radios but flashlights, because today flashlights have circuit boards also, and they will fry if you don't put them in a box. So I would suggest having a scientific calculator also that you put in your box. And anything else that's electronic, GPS, anything that's electronic basically would have to be protected. Otherwise, it's not gonna survive. Metal ammo box, yeah, definitely, that would work. You don't want like big holes in it or anything like that. You don't want you want the box to be fairly well closed and no gaps basically. But that's about it. Any metal box will do it. Model is the solar panel. I don't know, it's a Chinese piece of crap that I paid like very little for it, but it does work. So the only thing you can, there's no brand, it's absolutely not branded, but you can see how it looks, the size and all. I got it from, I think it was AliExpress. Very cheap. Oh, there is a, no, what does it say? No, it doesn't say anything. Doesn't say anything. It's very cheap, but you can find panels like that for not much money, and they work. They don't have the stated capacity. If they say you can pretty much divide by 2 probably. So 50. It's not 50 watts. It says 50 watts, but there's no way. What's the survivability of the PRC 320 as in a normal home? Well, probably better than some radios, but it's not EMP proof. The only EMP proof radio that I think that's a PRC of that period, Clansman family, is the 319. But I think it does have some kind of a fuse, like an EMP fuse in the inside or something like that. So anyway, that fuse will fry, will get damaged, and then you change that part. But if you don't have that part, not much you can do, I guess. I'm not sure. Maybe you could short circuit it, but I'm not quite certain. The fact is that a radio that's not plugged in, especially the antenna, is going to be more protected than if it was. So the radio might survive if it's just not plugged in, but there is no guarantee because it's still exposed to the electrical field that would rain down on you. If something like that happens. So I would definitely suggest putting it in a metal box anyways. I have 2 PRC 320s and they're both in a metal box. I put them both in there because 2 is 1, 1 is none. Actually, I was thinking of selling one because I have other radios that I can use for that, but I don't know, probably would only interest someone in Europe because of shipping costs. So if you're interested, let me know, but I don't think it would be financially interesting for someone in the US or Australia or anything like that. get your meter analyzers in the Faraday box too. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, definitely. I have an antenna analyzer. It's in the box too. It's a big metal chest basically. It's like a meter and a half wide. So I have a lot of stuff in there, and I have a second box with a lot of stuff too. I have so much radios and radio gear and electronics that well, it's mostly radio stuff, of course. Shorting the antenna input to ground during shortage might help. I would think so, yeah. Although you have to be careful because it's another piece of metal that goes onto the antenna. So I wouldn't put like a wire loop or anything like that because that's going to act as an antenna. But they do make BNC plugs that are shorts that you can put on the BNC connector, and that might help. Yeah, definitely. I think I have some actually, but I'm not using them. It's just in the metal box anyway. So, all right. So that's one thing. The Faraday cage. And again, if something happened, I wouldn't get my radios out right away because you probably would have a second strike, maybe even days later. So I wouldn't get actually all your radios out right away because there could be subsequent problems. Let's just say. All right, so a little word on the K1. The K1 is on is on right now, and it's on 10.123 kilohertz. I'm going to put that in the conversation here. Whoops. Where's my mouse? Okay. So the frequency I'm on right now, 10.123 kilohertz. And there's actually someone calling there. Let's see. So if you call, if you do CW Morse code, if you call, I will see if I can receive you. I'm not going to turn it up too loud. All right, Nexus 6, yes, second and third wave strikes can be an automated process, indeed. Using a copper wire mesh rolls to line things or a whole room. Yeah, you can line a whole room, but it's a bit much. I mean, the EMP is not going to affect you, so but it will affect all electronics, all PN junctions, basically. So diode, transistors, integrated circuits. Anything that doesn't have integrated circuits, PN junctions, we shouldn't be affected. But in I think it was in 1859, the big solar storm there, they had telegraph operators getting shocked in the stations, and telegraph stations that caught on fire. Imagine that. That's crazy. Of course, they had very long wires, telegraph wires, to collect all that energy, but still, it must have been horrendous for these people. And I mean, they even disconnected batteries. They had stations that started working with disconnected batteries. So today it would be absolutely horrendous. Being it an attack, a nuclear attack, or a solar storm. Why not? Happened once, right? Probably more than once, but once we know of. All right, so I'm going to lower the sound a bit here. It wasn't Kensington, it was Carrington event. Yeah, sounds the same. All right, so other precautions now we're going to talk about. So that's the radio thing, is not connect your radio, put it in a Faraday cage, at least maybe not all your radios, but you need to have some radios protected. That's going to be used later, and if you get one out, just leave the other ones in the box. Don't use everything right away, because again, there could be second and third waves, basically. All right, so precautions to take. What would happen in case of a nuclear war? Well, how would you know? And where would you go? What do you have to do? So we're going to talk a bit about that. So that's leaving a bit radio, but you know, it's radio prepper, radio, it's radio and it's prepping. So we're going to talk a bit about prepping because I want to make sure that you guys know. And I actually read quite a bit on the subject, including a book that's it's called Nuclear Survival or Nuclear War Survival, or something like that. I should have checked that title before, but it's a very well-known book from the US. That's it's a little bit dated, but someone might put the title there on the in the chat. It's from the it's from the US government, basically. A laboratory something. I forgot the name. It'll come back to me maybe, but. There are things that you can do. Actually, it's not, you know, if you don't get cooked by the blast, the heat, energy, or simply the shock wave. If you're within a few miles, of course, there is, you know, it's tough. Although I read an account of a couple of women that were in Hiroshima, and they were right below. Right under the blast. You know, there are two types of nuclear blasts. One is at altitude, so high up in the sky, and well, not, you know, too high, but it's not on the ground. It's a parachute, and or, you know, it's at a certain preset altitude, and that does a lot of damage because you don't have the obstacles on the ground to basically stop the you know, to stop the effects of the blast. So so you have that, and Hiroshima was that kind of explosion. But there were a couple of women in a bank building right under. They were in the they were underground now, of course. And the bank, because they had to protect their money, had very, very thick walls, and they were underground in that building, and they actually survived. So it's not impossible. Depending on the strength of your building and how far you are, you might, you know, stand a chance to survive the initial blast. All right, so Nuclear War Survival Skills by, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, thanks. By Crescent H. Kearney. Yeah, Keeney. There's an R there. Yeah, I need to change my glasses. So that's the one, indeed. Thank you very much, Matt. That's the one. So that's a very, very good read. The second type of blast is on the ground. So the problem with that is that it just basically takes a lot of dirt, soil, and shoots it up in the atmosphere, and then it's going to come down and rain radioactive debris everywhere, and that's the worst. The altitude blast is has much less radiation, so you don't have too much problems there, and radiation will in that case will dissipate fairly quickly. We're talking days. Radiation from contaminated soil that's going to rain back down, it's going to last longer. Metal ductwork in home may provide some shielding. Yeah, it would have to be the problem. You can't have gaps, so windows or anything like that. You know, it's just not going to protect anything. Let's see who's calling there. Oops, fading. I see you. Icon. Oh, contest? No, you can't do contest on 30 meters. Sorry. I hope that's not the case, because no contest allowed on 30 meters, and I hope it stays that way. But he said test, so test means contest, and that's a no on 30 meters. You heard it. Spare glasses, eyewear, yeah, definitely, yeah. Also, the first thing you'll notice is a big flash, of course. before you hear anything, before you feel anything, there's going to be a big flash. People who were soldiers who were aboard Navy ships, or who were exposed to nuclear test explosions, said that even with the arm in front of their eyes, or their hands in front of their eyes, they could see all the blood vessels and the bones in their hands or their arms. So it's extremely bright light. No, can't do that. From ICOM, so that guy doesn't have a call sign. I sent him that. Hopefully he understands. And you don't use ICOM as a call sign, sorry. Anyway. Yeah, I know there is a contest, but you can't have a contest on 30 meters. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. Contest on 30 meter is not allowed at all. And I'm not gonna let that fly. I don't like it, and I'm gonna say it. And if these guys keep coming on 30 meters with a contest, I'm gonna raise hell with the organizers. I'll tell you, organizers. All right. Anyway, let's close the parenthesis. Okay, so yeah, taught to lay down facing away from the blast with your heels to deflect the blast. Correct, very correct. That's in that book also. So I'm going to close the sound here because I'm going to get aggravated. So indeed, you don't want to look at the blast. I mean the flash. So if you see it, just turn around, close your eyes, and seek cover if you can, because the shockwave is going to come after that. And that's not going to be good. And you have mere seconds, if that, to just dive between under or behind something really solid. Think like hurricane or tornado kind of thing. And of course, all your windows are going to be are going to cave in, and it's not going to be pretty. But depending on the distance. So that's the first thing to do, is don't look at the flash. Seek cover, duck and cover. If you're far enough, it will help. But if you're too close, you're gone. But All right, so good day. Thanks for videos. I'm a huge fan. Okay, great. SA7GAM. Gabriel, thank you very much. All right, so then what's going to happen is that don't go outside. You have to get inside somewhere. That time right after an explosion is not the time to run around, like a headless chicken. It's not going to help you, because within, especially if it's a ground explosion, within 15 minutes, all that shit is going to come down, and if you get all that dust on you, your prognostic is not going to be good. Not only that, but if then you go inside, you're going to bring all that stuff with you, and unless you can take a shower right away and soap and water and just clean all that up, it's really going to affect you fairly quickly. So you don't want that. What you want to do is to be as far as you can from the outside. So if we take like an apartment building or something like that, or a house, if it's a multiple story house or apartments, you don't want to be on the top floor, because all that stuff is going to fall on the roof and it's going to be very close to you. You don't want to be on the bottom floor either, because all that dust is going to fall on the ground and that's going to be close to you as well. What you want to be in the middle. Not only in the middle in a horizontal plane, but in a vertical and horizontal. So the center of the building, basically. So don't stay close to the outside wall. Don't stay close to windows if they're still there. You might have shutters or something, but don't stay close to the outside. Just go in the middle. Even if you have like a hallway in the middle, I don't care if your neighbors are going to be there or whatever, just go in the middle of the building. Because the further you are from radiation, the better off you're going to be. And we know it's the inverse square law, we know that with radio, it takes the square of the power to double the distance. Well, it's the same thing with radiation. You're gonna have the square root of the radiation every time you double the distance. So that's what you want to do. If you can go underground, it's better. The denser the material that's between you and the radiation is, the better. So concrete, of course lead, but walls are not made of lead. So the worst would be like when I used to live in Florida, the houses were wooden houses. Not the best, not the best at all. And they don't have basements in Florida. So problem is, if you try to have a basement in Florida, it's going to fill up with water. So it's not, you can't really have that. But all the people who live in the tornado alley, a little bit further north, like Texas and those places, generally have underground, not bunkers but shelters, and that would be excellent. If you can, put dirt on top, especially, you can pile up dirt. That would help a great deal. Simply ducking into some kind of a trench, for instance, to protect yourself from the blast would be help a great deal. You don't want to expose the skin to the outside, especially when the flash carries a lot of heat. Okay, it's just not light. It's just only light. It's a lot of heat as well. Get indoors, but turn off your air exchange. Yeah, definitely. You don't necessarily need an air filter, but you don't want too much air circulation because again the dust is going to circulate with the air, and you don't want to breathe that. Simply having a dust mask helps tremendously in that case. You're not protecting against a virus or chemicals. You're just protecting against radioactive dust. The air itself isn't radioactive. It's just air. Air molecules do not, as far as I know, carry radiation, but dust does. So dust particles dust is going to be your biggest enemy in that case. Oh, thank you for the coffee. Very good. Bernie Mozart. Excellent. I really need it, I'll tell you. Just to fix my truck. And like I said before, yeah, it's leaking oil. I can't go anywhere. So no radio testing, no radio trips, no field operations right now. I'm just stuck at home. So that's why I had the idea of doing live stream on the current subject and all concern we all have. So yeah, go ahead, don't hesitate with the coffee thing. Think about Patreon as well, and I lost a few people on Patreon because I didn't post for a long time, and I understand people are paying to see videos. It's like going to the theater, but if I don't publish videos, well, I don't get any help. So, but I'm back. I'm back. Actually, I'm working on a video right now about an unfed antenna from K6 ARK. I'm building his tiny antenna kit, and I'll have that published fairly soon. Maury Mac, hope you're doing well. I'm doing well enough. It's just being after all those the lockdowns and lack of physical activity and stuff. I can't say I'm in a super healthy state, so to speak, and I think a lot of us aren't, and that's terrible because yeah, I do have concerning symptoms, and but nothing shows up on tests, so I'm good. I hope. it is impossible to bury anything in the water. That's right. That would be difficult. Yeah. I wonder if water is probably a good shielding material, but how do you can stay scuba diving all the time? Anyway, so what you want to do is to stay indoors with the denser and dense material to protect yourself. The one thing you can do if you have a yard or something like that, or you know a place where you can, or you have a bug out location that's in the woods or whatever, is to dig a dugout shelter, or make a dugout shelter and cover that with dirt. Simple as that. Dig a trench, put logs on top, put a mound of dirt on top, and that's enough. That's enough. You might have to spend quite a few days in there, but it would make a big difference, definitely. The source system, why not? Have to be careful that it doesn't get flooded while you're in there, but it probably wouldn't smell that great. But if you're underground, subway tunnels, any kind of tunnel, really. And you have to think of radiation like a little bit like light, like radio waves. If you can go somewhere that you're shaded from light, that's probably helpful. Oh, $20 from Mike. Wow, excellent, Mike. Man, that really helps, I'll tell you. Really helps, because I'm really super broke right now. All right, so yeah, there we go. Excellent. So definitely, if you in a place where you can actually be shaded from light, you're in a place where it's going to be hopefully not too much radiation. And again, light, I mean shaded, but not shaded with a piece of cardboard. I mean dense material. You're going to be much better off. And resistor, thank you very much for the coffee. Excellent, excellent. You can subscribe as a monthly provider, basically, on coffee as well, on the coffee page, just like Patreon. Basically, it's up to you. I kind of like. I think the coffee thing doesn't take as much. Actually, it doesn't take anything. But Patreon takes off a percentage. You have the super chats also. Actually, I probably should have put the. Forgot to put the monetizing on the video. Probably should do that, because you can use super chat too. But I think super chat they take a lot of money out, but it's an option. So I'm gonna put that on. Analytics monetization. I'm gonna turn that on. Yeah, it was off, but yeah, anyway. Just if you guys want to help out the channel, and actually, I want to. I need to buy for the channel. It's not for me to go on vacation. I'm going to buy wireless microphones from Ulanzi and lights, because I still haven't bought lights. And every time I need lights, and I'm like, shit, I don't have lights, and I would always forget. And I'm a big procrastinator. All right, so that's it. All right, so go back to the to the live here. How do I go back? Of course, I lost I lost the page now. I can't see the chat. Darn. Okay, here it is. Is that it? No, that's not it. Content. Okay, content. Live, and click on. Yep. Okay, so I'm back there for the. Okay, just click on it. All right, so I lost the chat for 30 seconds here. It's going to come back. Yes, it's back. All right. So Nick also. Nick, thank you very much for the coffee. Excellent. Great help. Is your Land Cruiser that leaks? Yes, and it's coming from the engine, but I haven't found exactly where it's coming from, because I drove like that. There's oil everywhere. Under, on the engine all around, so I can't see where the leak is where it's coming from. But it started with like little drops, and then all of a sudden it was like a trickle of oil. And I came back home and I went back to my parking spot, and after that I spent an hour cleaning up the parking, the indoor parking, because I left a trail of oil on the ground, and people were not happy with me, I'll tell you. So I haven't driven my car since, because I can't. I put a big piece of cardboard under the car, under the truck, on the parking spot, and it seems to be not leaking while the engine is off. So I don't know, maybe a seal or something. I need to buy some brake cleaner and spray that on and clean up the engine, then start it and see where it's coming from. But I know it's probably going to cost me a bundle, because if I need the engine to be opened and the seal to be replaced, man, I might not be able to do any field operation for quite some time, guys. And I'm sorry about that, but it's going to be a problem. So, but hey, that's life. It happens. Shit happens, you know. But I really like that truck, so I don't want to sell it or get rid of it. I really love that truck. It's very useful, being a four-wheel drive, and I wouldn't mind an 80 model. 80. Mine is a 70, LJ70. I wouldn't mind an 80, but that's going to be for later. All right, so after I have like 200,000 subscribers maybe, and even then, that wouldn't be much. I don't even think it's possible to get 200,000 subscribers with a radio channel. Who knows? Anyway, I don't do that. I don't do it for money, but there are things that I need to do, you know, to produce videos. All right, so live chat, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's set up. Aluminum siding on my home. Yeah, some it would shield some. You don't have to seal the windows as well. And again, that's only for the EMP. It's not going to shield radiation much at all. You would need thick concrete for that. The highest point evidence of I'd have to check. I have to check where. It's hard to tell because it's very dirty. So I have to clean it first. But the problem is that I can't even go to the car wash to wash it with you know, pressurized water, because it's just, I leave it. I mean, the cops would see the oil and follow me and find me and find me. Yeah, find and find me. So, all right. So, getting power generators set up, EcoFlow. I don't know about those. Is that some kind of battery that you put on a solar panel? I've heard about those, but you know, still, of course, you still need a solar panel. And I thought about getting one, but I mean, I have a car battery here, right there, and I have an MPPT charger from Genison. Actually, I have a couple of them that I was planning on putting on my boat. I haven't done so because, again, I'm a big procrastinator. Drove Land Cruisers for years. The rear? No, it's not coming from the rear. It's definitely coming from the engine. No, I checked the oil filter, Dan, and it's not that. Unfortunately, I wish it was that. I will be next year and moving in France with my wife. Bernie, stay in the US, don't do that. Don't come to France. Not that I don't want you to, but it's not that great. Let's leave it at that. All right, so what I did also is that I got myself a radiation detector. And that's an old clunky model. It's bakelite. It's Polish. It's an RS70. And you can set it. So I think that's test, yeah. Then level 1. Actually, it makes a horrendous noise. I can do it, but the neighbors are going to hear it. But hey. Oof. If you don't die of radiation, you're going to get a heart attack just listening to this. But basically, there are 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. I have a video on my personal channel about this, a little review. So basically, there is no needle or anything, no indication, but it starts blasting as soon as it reaches a certain level. So level 1 basically means that pack up your stuff and leave. Don't stay there too long. Pack up and leave now. Level 2 means don't mess up with packing. Grab your bug out bag and take off running. Okay, that's level 2 basically. Level 3 means you might as well stay there because you're going to be dead. So, but it's a good indication, like if you put it on level 1 and nothing happens, well, you might make it. Doesn't mean there's no radiation, but it hasn't reached the lethal level basically. Level 2 means really get the hell out, like now, like right then. Okay. RS-70, Polish radiation detector. There are more sophisticated ones, of course, but actually, a survival Lily just did a video on that recently, and she tried different Geiger counters from Amazon, and she found out that only one of all the ones she tried was good. So check out Survival Lily. She has good info on that stuff, and I haven't watched the video yet, but I saw it. All right, so let's see the chat. Actually, is anybody on 30 meters? Oh, I hear some voices on 30 meters. That's just crazy. Might be coming from Australia, because I know Australians have a USB allocation on 30 meters, but I don't know if it's on 10.123. I think it's a little bit higher. Anyway, I'm going to leave it a little bit. If someone's calling now, I'll tell you if I can hear you. I'm not going to put it too loud because I'm still talking. So, all right. So solar panel, wind turbine. That's a good precaution, yeah. Because of course, in case of a nuclear war, you'd have all that dust in the air, and it's going to cover the sun, and actually, which might lead to a nuclear winter. So not much sun at all. So how are you going to recharge your batteries? And that's a good reason to have small radios with low current draw, because charging batteries might be difficult, very slow, and you might only be able to recharge very small batteries. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use your radio. And actually, one thing to have is also, I had a receiver I want to plug in here, but I'm going to have to make a video about that separately, I guess, because I don't know where I put it. Oh, and oh yeah, Adam from Australia sent me this radio, the Paraset radio. Excellent book. And it's really, really interesting, the history of the Paraset. So it's a tube radio, which incidentally, tube radios would be very resistant to nuclear attacks. So a Paraset would be a good radio to have in that case. Of course, you want the power supply to be a tube as well, but the radio would definitely survive, more likely survive a nuclear attack. So Paraset radio, Adam, thank you very much. He's building me a Paraset actually, and that man is a saint, I'll tell you. So anyway, just found it here. Ah. Why is he asking that? Is it QR? I didn't hear. I'll just stop talking if I hear the guy calling again. Hopefully he's not calling for a contest on 30 meters. Anyway. Advise an amplifier for the TX500 with a power of about... You don't want an amplifier with a radio like that. You don't need it. You don't need 100 watts. You don't need 150 watts. It's absolutely useless. And I know people are not going to agree with me, and I'll get a lot of flack for that. Anything more than 20-30 watts is wasted power. You don't need it. And the TX500 has 10 watts. 10 watts is 10 watts is plenty of power. You don't need more than that. It's absolutely a waste of power. I'm not saying that it doesn't help once in a while. Yes, but generally, 90% of the time it's useless, and I don't use any amplifier. The only amplifier that I have ever used is one that I built for a QCX 80 for on 80 meters. A kit from QRP Labs, and it's a 50-watt amplifier, and I used it once for the video, and that's it. Never used it again, and I'll never use an amplifier because why? Yeah, you're going to drain your batteries much faster, and it's people are going to hear you just as well. I've had plenty of QSOs in CW. While I talk with someone, I have 5 watts, the guy has 500, and we have a perfectly good contact. And generally people don't believe me when I say I'm using 5 watts. And yes, I'm using 5 watts, and you're using 500, and it's useless, you know. And that's true. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of electricity. It's more complex. You need a bigger antenna, you need bigger everything, and it's just not a good thing to use an amplifier, definitely. Oh, and it transmits higher than 10 watts. Well, you know, 10 watts is plenty. It's CW and digital modes, you know, even 2 watts is fine. 2 watts, 3 watts, no problem. When I buy a radio, I never look at the power output because I don't care. As long as it transmits more than a few hundred milliwatts, I'm fine with it. I don't care. A couple watts, 2, 3 watts, I'm good to go. For USB, LSB, you know, SSB modes, then of course you need a little bit more, maybe 10 watts, maybe 20, 25. But if you take the example of military manpacks generally don't have more than 25 to 30 watts. And there's a good reason for that, because it's not needed. And those guys have unlimited budgets. They can test everything, they can buy anything they want. And they don't use 100-watt manpacks. It's just doesn't, they don't exist, guys. So don't worry about amplifiers. It's not needed. Okay. And some guys are I'm gonna get blasted for that. I know it. All right, so nothing interesting on 30 meters. Maybe we'll get. It's all about antenna resonance. Yes, antenna resonance and a full-size antenna. Now, once you have that, you're good to go. Good counterpoise. Depends. Half wave and fed. You don't need a counterpoise, but otherwise, it's better to have I would say a symmetrical antenna, like a dipole. All right, man, I'm talking a lot. Get your cup too. Link below. Yes, a good resonant antenna is far more important than power output, definitely. I even suspect that a lot of people who use amplifiers, or 100 watts or whatever or more, often have bad antennas, and they're not radiating 100 watts. They're radiating maybe 10 or 5. And I think it's a fairly common problem, especially with multi-band antennas that use a tuner. You can have losses in there, and some people will use very short antennas. I'll use 100 watts. Well, yeah, but you're radiating 5, so you're QRP basically. use a good antenna. You don't need an amplifier. I know it's not always possible, but here I'm using a magnetic loop antenna. It's a 5-meter perimeter, and that's a really good size, and it's perfectly efficient, even with a few watts. On GS8, I had my friend Ray in Virginia saw my signal, on 2 watts, using 2 watts across the Atlantic. So magnetic loops definitely work, and half-wave and feds, dipoles, full size. It's really good. South Africa, KF16FA, ZS1MMB. That's an interesting call sign. All right, so after that little rant, we'll go back on our advice for protecting yourself in a nuclear attack or war or whatever. Of course, one good advice I can give you is don't live right next to a military base, if you can help it. That's not a good idea. Here, the only thing we have is the port, a huge, the biggest civilian port in Europe, actually. So that might be a target. I'm not sure. I'm only a couple kilometers from it, and if there's a blast there, I'm gone. But there is the Nice airport, that would be a target. And other things a little bit further that would be targets too. I'm not going to mention, but so that would be a concern. But I know my window wouldn't survive here, that one, because it's facing Nice. So, but I have a parking garage that's thick concrete, and I would probably move all my stuff there and go live in the parking garage. So that's what you have to do. You have to get cover. You have to go in the middle of a building or underground, or have the maximum of thick, dense material between you and the outside. And you have to stay there for as long as you can stand it. And I don't mean a year, but some people say a day, some say a couple days, some say a week, some say more, some say a month. Who knows? It depends on the radiation. But I guess as long as you can stand it and it's not too uncomfortable, I would stay there and wait for the radiation levels to go down. And then I would be very careful to, if I came in and out of the place, to have like a dust mask at the very least, have a coveralls, something that actually, if you have disposable ones, that would be better. So, like painting, paint suits, that you can close at everywhere, so that you can be protected from dust. And if you can take a shower, clean yourself when you come, and then you put your coveralls in a plastic bag and throw that away as far as you can, and not use them again, you'll be much better off that way, Chemical portaloo. Yeah, if you have to stay inside, if you have a chemical toilet, that of course would be a great asset. If not, just I guess plastic bags, but geez. But you're gonna have to go party somewhere. You have to think about that. It's one thing to have food and water, but food that goes in is gonna have to come out. All right, so I live not far enough from a secure, undisclosed location. That's very good. That's good for you. Man, you're a lucky man. All right. Find local GMRS repeaters. I don't think repeaters would still be operational. So I would definitely suggest on the radio side to kind of make a map of what's going on around you radio-wise, and know where other operators are located, and map them out. And actually, don't do that on your computer, because your computer might not survive. So get a paper map, even like a world map, or the map of your country on paper, that you can put on a wall, and that you can stick pins in, or draw circles on and things like that, so that you can kind of map what's going on, the zones to be avoided, places you shouldn't go. Maybe transmit that to other people, or receive that information. Hence the importance of having a receiver. If you can receive that, map that, and where not to go, that could save your save your butt. So anyway, that's important. So maybe like get a small, those small dongles, USB dongles. VHF, because that's going to be mostly on VHF. So plug that in your computer and just watch the waterfall and see if you have signals around. Could be, I mean, a lot of official departments now, like firefighters and police and all that stuff. The town, whatever, uses encryption, but not all of them. In smaller towns, they don't have the budget, so you might be able to actually listen to what's going on, and that could be a great asset. Knowing the frequencies, knowing the location of those transmitters, those people, could be a great asset. Even if you lose your dongle, you lose your receiver, it doesn't matter, because you have everything written down on paper, not in a file on your computer. Remember, you have to keep stuff on paper so that you can actually contact these people if you need to. Of course, you might want to have a computer in a Faraday cage too, because you have to program your radios It's much easier to program a radio with a computer than using the keyboard. And keep the manuals, your radio manuals, on paper as well. And you know, I'm guilty of it. I have lots of manuals on the computer, but if I can't access them, it's not going to help me. Ritavis has a portable repeater you can deploy. Yeah, actually, and there are radios that can act as a repeater. Like I have a Ritavis RT23. I think it's not made anymore, but I think Wouxun has one model that can do crossband repeat also. J-pole, yeah, J-pole is really good. LMR 400, yeah. I use LMR 240 UF for ultraflex. Actually, it's more like less stiff, but they should have called it LS. But it's called UF ultraflex. LMR 240 ultraflex. It's not as thick. You can bend it. It's not as heavy also. But it's also made by the same company. Yep. Oh, what else? Let's see the chat. Anybody else got me a coffee? No, not yet. No super chats. Coffee's better. All right. I think I still have a little bit of coffee slash chocolate there. All right, I'm surprised I haven't had to go to the bathroom yet. After 50, it's more of an issue. 4 tight loops. I don't know what that is. FTM 300. I don't know that one. Yaesu. Yeah, Yaesu has. I think the 8800. I think, or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but they have a VHF mobile radio that does a crossband repeat. Actually, and TYT has a clone of it. I wouldn't mind the Yaesu, that's for sure. I lost my bad news. I lost my my Yaesu VX6. Actually, it's not really, well, it's kind of lost because I lost it in the mountains, but I know the area that I lost it in, and it's totally waterproof. It was a few weeks ago though, but I can't go back because my truck is I can't use my truck. But I know approximately where the radio is, and I left it. I sat down on a rock, I put the radio on the ground, and when I left, I forgot to pick it up. Stupid. VX6 Yaesu. And I went back once to try to find it, but it's a very long trek, and it takes me a couple hours to, an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there. It's very physically taxing because, of course, I'm not in good shape right now because I haven't done any exercise for a long time. So, and that's really bad. So don't do as I do. Do what I say. Get fit. I gotta have to start moving, get my ass in gear because this is not good. All right, so let's see. Sweep generator, blah blah blah. All right, so anyway, so basically, to go back to our protection here. You'd want to go inside and stay inside for at least a few days before you get out. Now, one thing you're gonna have to be careful about is, of course, you're gonna have to have some food reserves, canned food, anything, and make sure that you only eat stuff that was sealed in package, cans, sealed plastic or whatever that hasn't been exposed to the outside and hasn't received any dust. You shouldn't drink any water that hasn't been filtered, because of course filtered and boiled, because of course you'd have dust in it, and dust will be radioactive, and that would, especially if you get it inside you, that would definitely get you sick in short order. So be very careful. If you go scrounging though, and you find cans of food or anything like that, that should be safe. You just might want to wash them before you bring them inside. take the labels off and throw them away, or just make sure that you only drink bottled water or drinks, and you also eat canned food or anything that's really sealed. And you again wash the outside, because you don't want to bring in any dust. Even if it's invisible, it's there. You don't want to bring that in, especially not in your body, but not inside where you're staying as well. And leave your shoes outside. Don't bring the shoes in. Don't bring anything in that's been that might have dust on it. And that's very important. Get active on HF nets, absolutely. Build community, absolutely. Best advice possible. And OPSEC, remember, don't tell people what you have. Don't tell them of your preps, your food, anything like that, because you're going to have to make a moral decision there. Either you share and you die, or you keep it for yourself and you live. Maybe. But it's going to be very difficult, very, very difficult. If you just have enough for yourself, it's going to be very difficult morally to keep that for yourself. But it's a decision you have to make. Of course, if you have more, by all means, get a group of people and someone to stand guard, for a can of beans, that's going to be important, because being alone, I'm alone here, but I have a group of friends, but they're not like right next to me, and that would be a problem, because for some time people will not be able to travel after an attack because of radiation. Frozen burst kinds of food, no heating oil. Make communication time to save energy and relay messages further out. Yeah. Get a bicycle. Yeah, the bicycle is a very good idea, actually. Very good idea, because you can go between the cars and stuff. And if just a bicycle with saddlebags, excellent option. And there is a little chance that someone's going to try to steal it from you, as opposed to a motorcycle, for instance. I mean, they might still want to steal it from you, but you know what you need to carry for that, and I'm not going to say it on this channel. So no comments on that, please. Mutual assurance groups, yeah, absolutely. I tried to start one here. Nobody's interested at all. No interest whatsoever. Nobody wants to move their little pinky to do that. And that's terrible. But we don't live. France is not a country where people would do. Well, there are some, but it's not common. Let's just say. All right. So water filtration. I have a Sawyer Mini, a filter, and that I think that can filter like 100,000 gallons, something like that. It's just going to last a long time. Absolutely, you must have a water filter. And if you can get food reserves in advance, that's the best way to go. Just buy a few cans every time you go to the grocery store. Buy a few extra cans of food and store that. Buy some rice, buy some beans, seal them up, and you're good to go. Store water also. Because the problem with having a filter only is that you have to go get water to filter it. There might not be any. There might be other people around that are going to notice that you're in good health and try to maybe follow you or whatever. I mean, you can imagine all kind of stuff. But the less time you spend outside for the first few months, the better. As far as frequencies, so if anything like that happens, guys, you'll find me on probably on 30 meters, 10123 CW, so Morse code. You'll find me on. I heard 5 dots. To you. I don't know. Anyway. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, 10123 CW, so 30 meters. You'll find me on JS8 if my computer is working, JS8 on 30 meters. And USB LSB probably on 40 meters. from 7.1 to 7.2 megahertz. Maybe a little bit on CW part of the band too, but yeah, 40 meters in France stops at 7.2. Although of course in a situation like that it wouldn't matter. You know, the band considerations would not really come into play anymore. In Scotland, lots of water. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it rains all the time, but it's going to rain radioactive rain, so and I have to filter that. And if it sips, you know, everywhere inside, and it's not good. So that's a blessing, but it's a curse also. All right, so after that, really, it's a matter of surviving as long as you can, and if you can after that, you know, for instance, you have to grow your own food. You're gonna have to remove a few inches, maybe 10 inches. No, maybe, well, I would say at least 5 inches of soil, of topsoil, will have to be removed and disposed of far away if you want to grow anything, because radioactive, the top of the soil would be radioactive, and to grow anything you would have to remove, and I know it's a lot, but you would have to remove 4 to 5 inches of soil and throw that away. And there would be a lot of backbreaking work and dangerous too, because of course you're gonna have gonna have that stuff right next to you. You're gonna have to have a suit, gloves, everything, mask, to do that work, and that would be very dangerous work. So the later you can do it, the better. So the more reserves you have, the better. And after that, you'd have to decide, you know, should I stay where I am or should I go somewhere else? And it's a good thing to map your surroundings up to a few hundred miles, maybe, so that if you have to move to a better place, you know where to go. And that's not always a good. It's not always an easy decision, because if you don't know what's going on in those places, you know, and hence the importance again of radio, because that can allow you to hear what's going on in other places. Someone might tell you, you can ask them, how is it going at your place? Oh, really, it's going well. Okay, it's not going well where I am, so I'm going to come to, you know, I'm going to come to you. And make sure you have your own stuff, because people are not responsible for your well-being. You are responsible for your own well-being. But these days, a lot of people don't believe that, you know, so they would definitely try to steal your stuff. For growing vegetable at your homestead, it's best to use a greenhouse. Yeah, definitely, because then the dust is not falling in. Of course, that would be the protection would be excellent in that case. Yeah, definitely, and extend your growing season. I just read a book about that actually. It's a series of books. I forgot the the author, but and it did emphasize that it's a book with. It's actually it's in Utah. I think it takes place in Utah, close to Salt Lake City. It's a novel. And it's a group that's it's organized and with a couple of hundred people, and they survived there. And it's because of a multimillionaire basically who set up a camp, like a retreat for preppers. And so it's really interesting the way they prep and organize everything. So, but it's that book is full of information, full of useful information. And again, someone might post that on the conversation there, because I can't remember. I'm reading it right now, but I can't remember the title or the author. Hydroponic gardens, yeah, that's an option, definitely. And it needs a lot of water though. But what else are you gonna do? And if you have livestock, guys, I know it's if you can bring them inside, do it, you know. If they're not going to make it, and you're not going to be able to eat them if they get irradiated. So anyway, I hope things are gonna. I hope it's not gonna happen. That's for sure. I sure hope it won't. I hope that cool heads will prevail. And I'm not going to go into politics. I'm not going to say it's whose fault it is or whatever. Or I just hope cool heads will prevail and we won't have to deal with that crap. Aquaponic garden, Jesse James. Yeah, I don't have the patience to do that, or the space. I don't have. That's the only room I have. That's a one-room apartment, 250 square feet, and that's it. That's all I've got. Even for storing preps, it's. I can't even consider myself really a real prepper because I don't have any stores or anything like that. I mean, I have a little bit, but not enough. Probably better off than most here, but not enough is just not enough, All right, let's see the chat. Potato fills stomachs, yeah, potatoes, yeah. French fries, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yep. All right, so any questions, guys? Because don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat. I will look at the chat now and take your questions. I'm still listening to 10.123 kilohertz. I had my friend Marco that was going to call me, but I haven't heard him. So Marco, if you're there, just call on 10.123. 10.123, Marco, appelle-moi. Just in case he's listening. All right, so let's look at the chat. If there are any questions, remember that during World War II, USA banned all amateur radio. Yeah, I know. Actually, it was banned in Ukraine too. They banned the radio in Ukraine, but people are still doing it. Of course, there are missiles that do harm on any kind of radio transmission, so have to be careful about that. So what you want to do mostly is probably listen. And if you have to transmit, you transmit, but I would say mostly listening would be a good thing to do. Actually, there's a story about a guy in I think it was in the first the invasion of Kuwait. So the first one. There was a guy who was a ham operator and who transmitted the information back to the US in digital mode. I think it was RTTY or something like that, and he actually sent a ton of information to the US back on ham radio, and it wasn't caught because the other guys didn't quite know about it. And oh, there's some and he was able to do that. So even though it was probably, I don't know if it was prohibited, but oh, so Marco is tuning his antenna. Okay, super Marco. On va voir si je te reçois. We'll see if I hear him. If not where you are, have you a preferred place on this rock? Yeah, the United States of America. And I spent 22 years in Florida and I should not have left. Big mistake. If I had the choice, I would probably go to, probably go to Utah. Live in Utah, I think. So who knows, maybe someday. But France is like a black hole, once you're orbiting it, it's hard to get away from that pool. because of finances, Anyway, I'm not going to talk politics, but looking to get to the Azores. Well, that's pretty darn far. Yeah, the US would, not that the US. I mean, some states in the US might be great for to set up a bug out location, but it's mostly for the freedoms that we have in the US. And don't let anyone tell you the US is not a good place, because it's the best country in the world. That's probably Marco. Let's see if it's him. He's local. He's in Nice, close to Nice, north of Nice, I think. So probably 10 miles from here. Yeah, that's him. 4TXR. It's kind of weak, but I can hear him. Barely. Je t'entends à peine, Marco. À peine, mais je t'entends. Ah. Yep, that's him. Yep, so je t'entends, Marco, mais c'est faible, c'est très faible. It's funny because it's not very far, but again, because it's line. Wait, it should be line of sight, but we always had trouble between each other. And I know that's not NVIS because NVIS would be much stronger. So it's really difficult to make a contact, short range like that. It's actually harder to make a contact like that than to make a very long distance contact. That's actually easier because we are not bouncing on the ionosphere here. It's just direct, and it's just not working well because of obstacles, and terrain. So that's the problem. If it was NVIS, so straight up and straight down, that would work much better. Or if he was, a few hundred miles away, enough to do a skip, it would be much easier. So much easier to do long distance contacts than do regional contacts, especially with, depending on the type of antenna that you have. And his antenna might not be pointing the right way, even if it's a dipole or maybe it's a vertical. Dis-moi, Marco, quel genre d'antenne tu as? C'est une verticale ou une dipole? Parce que je t'entends à peine. Voilà, I'll ask him if it's vertical or dipole. Non réglé. Oh, okay. So he hasn't tuned his antenna yet. Okay, Marco. Pas de souci. All right, so we'll see if we can make a better local contact here on the K1. But see, I know where Marco is, and I know, he knows he could find me on this frequency, and I know I could find him there. I know I could try on VHF on the local repeater, but if not, I would use HF, and we would make contact, definitely. And I think, I made a video about this, that HF is underused for local contacts and regional contacts. All right, so resistor, I'm not going to talk, no politics. No politics, no politics. All right, so, G5RV. Okay, G5RV, yep. That's a good antenna. It's a good multi-band antenna. But it's just, I guess, not working too well. And that's probably because of, terrain, obstacles. Ouais, Marco, peut-être, et ça doit être à cause des obstacles. On n'a jamais vraiment réussi à faire un bon contact entre nous deux. Ah, Gilles, yeah, okay. Okay, and GD says that he remembers after Chernobyl, the static when it was raining in Scotland was terrible. Really? That's really interesting. So there would be problems with HF, I guess, because of the static. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. What key are you using for CW? You can see it here. It's Begali Traveler's Light. Excellent key. Begali makes excellent keys. I know they're expensive, but it's worth it to bide your time and save up and get one, I'll tell you. 73, c'est 73, Marco, merci encore, super. Andy, nice to see you, thank you. Laura for clandestine. Laura actually I think is a good option. It's something I want to try out because I use LoRa for my drones, something called Crossfire by a company called TBS, Team Black Sheep. And LoRa, in that case, here in Europe, it's on 868 megahertz. Beaucoup mieux, Marco, beaucoup mieux. Much better signal from Marco. Pour le moment. Je suis, maybe. Anyway, his signal is just much better now. Oops, shit. Je ne suis pas. Shit, of course I'm talking and I can't receive at the same time. Juste. Un. Ok, wait. Je reçois très très bien, Marco. Beaucoup mieux. MOS. Pour le Anyway, yeah, very good signal here from Marco. So you see, we could have a conversation easily. QX. QRC. No. Bon, je vais continuer, Marco. Je vais continuer, mais franchement, le signal là, c'est vachement mieux. Hein. Yeah, much better signal, much better. So LoRa, 5.5. All right, so I'm surprised that I can actually decode decode him because sometimes he's quite fast, and but I thought I had lost a lot of my ability to decode because I haven't been practicing enough. I guess it's like bicycle, but not so much because I'm missing a few words. So always good stuff with you. Thank you very much, Annie Lewind. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but thanks a lot. Yeah, I have to brush up too because I'll tell you it's a perishable skill. But CW Morse code is a great thing to learn, guys. And even if it's not with a radio, with a flashlight, a laser pointer, or anything really, you can make Morse code not only with radio and for prepping. That's a great asset. All right, so back to survival. So I guess we pretty much covered the most important parts. Now time for questions again. If you have questions, go ahead, because let's see, what time is it now? It's 4:30. So usually we do a 2 hours. So we have about 25 minutes left. So ask your questions, and I will try to answer to the best of my abilities. And for once, you can ask questions about nuclear stuff too. Although I'm not an expert. I would like to point that out. I've read a lot, but that's about it. So there might be a lot of more knowledgeable people here in the chat than me. That's for sure. Morse frequencies are no, there is no Morse in France. Unfortunately, there is no VHF allocation, free VHF allocations in France. It's a PMR, so we don't have FRS, we don't have GMRS, we have PMR, and that's in the 446 megahertz allocation. And so there's no point in me even programming FRS or GMRS in my radios. I only have PMR frequencies, that's it. And actually I do have a bunch of legal PMR radios also that I can use for transmitting. But of course, again, in an emergency, you use whatever you have. But I would prefer to have a VHF allocation, because VHF is a little better, especially in wooden areas or countryside. And UHF, so PMR or FRS, those frequencies are probably better in urban areas because you have a lot of bouncing around of the radio waves. So you can actually make contact sometimes a little bit further than VHF, but it's kind of, you never know really. It depends on the buildings, depends on the materials, depends on your location, your height, it's just so many variables that it's hard to say which band is going to work better. Hunting and trapping skills, yeah, it's essential, but in a nuclear war there wouldn't be anything left, or anything would be irradiated, and even later, if you can catch something, I don't know if you could eat it. I'm not sure. Anybody knows? Because I would be hesitant eating any game that's been irradiated, really. Maybe fish, but even fish, I mean, I remember when Fukushima, I think Fukushima is still leaking as far as I know. But there were people finding, irradiated fish on the California coast. So what do you think of satcoms? Satcoms, I haven't really. The problem is the complexity of the setup, in my opinion. I think satcom is it does work. The problem is that also the satellites, at least in the US, the satellites are not geostationary, and we have only one geostationary satellite here, in actually above the country of Qatar. It's a QO100, and it covers from the eastern border of Brazil to Asia, Southeast Asia. So, and northern Europe also, like probably up to England, maybe the southern part of Finland, something like that, and the northern part of Africa, of course. So it's a huge cover area, and the uplink is on 2.4 gigahertz, and the downlink is on 10 gigahertz. So, and a lot of people here, actually the guys from my local club are kind of a bunch of experts on QO100. And I've thought about trying it, and I do have a receiving head. I do have a transmitting 2.4 gigahertz antenna. I just haven't bought. I need a VHF dongle, and I have to get another one because I gave my last one to a friend that can receive, because the head downgrades, divides the frequency down to about 700 some megahertz. So you need a VHF dongle that can receive that, and you need a dish. I need to point the dish at the satellite. The advantage with a geostationary satellites that your dish always points in the same direction, the same angle, same azimuth. You don't have to move it. So, and it's always on. I mean, you always have that link. Problem with satcoms, actually the amateur satcoms, satellites, is that you have to point your antenna, you have to follow the satellites, and you only have maybe 10-15 minutes before it goes from one horizon to the other, and you lose the connection. So it's not very useful. Not very useful. So unless there would be more geostationary satellites, or you can reach, or in Europe, or anywhere you can reach QO100, that's practical. QO100 is a good option, but otherwise, the fast moving, the fast birds, I wouldn't bother. It's just too much trouble. Where did you get your Milsup rig? eBay. I got them on eBay, and I bought one from a buddy of mine in England also. Otherwise, eBay, like my VRM 5080, I got on eBay. I got a PRC 320 on eBay. I got all my PRC 351s on eBay. I got an RF10, but it doesn't work. That was from a subscriber. Was kind enough to send me one, but it didn't work, unfortunately. And a friend of mine looked at it, but wasn't able to fix it, and I'm not good enough to do that. So the problem with military radios for prepping is the batteries often and the weight also is very heavy. The batteries are often 24 volts, so you need a way to charge that. And I actually have some parts that I can build some 12 to 24 volts up converters. So I'm going to build those because it's time now, I guess, fortunately. And also I have to buy handsets because I have 6 radios and I have one handset. It works for all of them, but I only have one. So I need to buy I need to buy 5 handsets basically. And I have enough batteries to power them, but so yeah, handsets. And you can buy them also from I'll put that in the description. It's Steve. You have to call Steve in England. Oops, hold on, I gotta get that going, and it's I'm gonna put that in the chat here. It's clansman-radio.co.uk. Yeah, there we go. He's a really good guy, Steve. He's pretty honest, and very honest. I never had a problem with him. Always quick to ship, and he never shipped anything bad to me. So unlike other people, I think it was like LR Series once shipped me a PRC 350. Got it, didn't work at all. It was refurbished, like new, refurbished. Didn't work. Sent it back, sent me another one. That one didn't work either. So I'd rather deal with Steve and have no problem. Anyway, and I have no connection to him, really. I'm just saying because I'm happy with getting my stuff from there. All right, so let's see. Questions, go ahead with questions. Least amount of components to tune a kit radio. To tune, so what do you mean, like a tuner? I'm not sure. To build it, like a cheap, simple kit to build, I'm not sure. There aren't many kits around, unfortunately. The best one with the SW Plus from Dave Benson. But Dave retired, he's bought a house in the woods, and he doesn't do electronics anymore, unfortunately. Actually, I got his last Warbler. It's called a Warbler. It was a digital mode radio. I lost it when I lost my boat in the Bahamas. But Dave sent me his last Warbler kit before I retired. But his SW Plus is really really good simple radio. I think there was a company called Midway Electronics. They might still be making it, so check that out. Midway Electronics. I think it was Chris, the name of the guy. I'll check it out. Anyway, he was selling them on. I think it was eBay actually. eBay, Amazon. I'm not sure. I think it was eBay, but. Check out Midway Electronics. You might. I don't know if the site still exists, but he's the last one who sold them. Seeing any food shortages in France? Not at this time. Well, I have a hard time to find sometimes skim milk. Some people have had a hard time to find cooking oil. But it's not really. It's not that there isn't any. That there's just less. And sometimes it's hard to find, but no shortages. We had fuel shortages because of a strike, but I saw it coming and I filled my tank right before. But of course my truck doesn't work anymore, so because of the leak, so the oil leak. So and I should have bought oil too, because of course you have a full tank of diesel now, but I don't have enough oil to run and I can't use my truck now because I'm spreading oil everywhere. So don't hesitate with the coffee and Patreon, and so I need to fix that truck so I can do videos in the field, radio field operations. All right, so low power digital modes. Absolutely, JS8, guys. JS8 is the shit. That's the mode you want to get familiar with, because there's nothing better as far as I know. So check it out. JS8 Call, that's the program. JS8call.com, I think, is the site. JS8 is the mode. JS8 Call is the program to run it. It's free, so. So let's see. Website's getting redone. Whose website? Steve's website? Maybe. So anyway, yeah, I know that. Yeah, the handsets are fairly easy to find. The Klansman handsets. I think they go for like 17 quids or something like that. 20 maybe, but depends. I've had some that were pretty expensive. I have one that's the only one I have is a Racal. It's a Racal handset, and that's like, I bought it for like $50, but now they're like $150. So diesel is hard to find in the US, huh? Really. I heard that California, the prices in California went really way up. Rotella, I use Rotella oil too. Absolutely. Shell Rotella, yeah. Best oil for older diesel trucks. I don't have any left though, so. And the last can, I mean not the can, but the last bottle, well, of I think it was how many gallons? I think it was a 2-gallon one. I had to order from the US because you don't find it in France. It's no more. And I think now it's like semi-synthetic. The old kind was not synthetic at all. I think it was better for the older trucks. But they want to get rid of older trucks now, and I want to keep mine. That's what I have to fix it. Monoprix store brand. Yeah, that's right, Jim. That's right. We don't have one here, but it's Carrefour here. Yeah. JS8, yeah, is this store. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is underused. JS8 is an excellent mode for prepping, because you can also receive a message and it stays in your inbox, and you can use a station for a relay. All right, I got a bacon whiskey, $5. Thank you very much for the super chat. You have the coffee donation link, guys, there too, and don't forget Patreon. I lost people on Patreon, unfortunately, but I would like to really thank all my Patreon subscribers and the guys who send me a little, a few bucks here and there, because it's hard now. I mean, we all of us are hurting, but here it's pretty difficult. All right, so excellent bacon whiskey, super chat, excellent. Coffee's better, but super chat works too. It's really up to you. If you want a name printed on the screen, that's super chat, right? You can get your handle, your screen name printed right there, right here. It's gonna show up. If you send a super chat, you'll see yourself right there. All right, so tried VARAC Vara mode. I heard about it, but I've never tried. I gotta check that out. Multi PSK. PSK is a good choice. Yeah. But really, JS8 has features that are extremely useful. Extremely useful. Oh wow, Arnold grabs $50, man. You're really helped me a great deal. This is amazing. You don't know how that's helping. It makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Last week I ate cans the whole week, and not by choice. I was waiting to get my paycheck at the end of the month, and it's not like the US here. We don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week. It's once a month, and it was all gone. By the 20th, I had nothing left. Anyway, and I gotta fix my truck. So, but anyway, I don't like begging, but just letting you know. All right. And I will be publishing more videos, guys. I promise you, because like I said, I've been simply out of ideas. I didn't know what to do. Now I do have a few things to review, and I have some ideas for antennas. And I found a cheap place here. Actually, I'm going to use that money probably to buy some ladder line. And I found a cheap place here in France to buy some ladder line, so which is hard to find here, especially the multi-stranded wire. All right, so let's see. So apparently gasoline is £2 per gallon. Is that in England? You use gallons yeah, that's right. £2 per. Nah, that's no freaking way. £2 per gallon. That's pounds. $2 per gallon. I don't know. William. Resistor 25. Oh. Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you very much also. Thank you very much. That's really, really extremely useful. Extremely useful. So we're still 61 people here. That's quite awesome. I'll just keep going and answer questions. So if you have questions, ask your questions. Radio related or nuclear war related protection. So anyway, I was mentioning dust masks. You don't really need a super duper gas mask, I don't think, for nuclear stuff. That's more for chemical or biological. But just a simple dust mask that you find at Home Depot or here Castorama or Leroy Merlin or places like that, Lowe's, those probably would work just fine. And what I do in my bug out bag and here my bathroom, I have a razor that I can use. So because of course that would be my beard would be a problem. That would leak. And again, it's just protecting, from dust. Just if you put something on your face, would help a great deal. If you can cut on the dust you're going to inhale, that would be the biggest problem. I remember reading that a lot of people died after Hiroshima. In Hiroshima, because people were really thirsty, and it started raining, and they drank the rainwater after the bomb. Of course, nobody knew about nuclear bombs back then. Nobody knew about radiation. They drank the water, the rain. A lot of people died like that because, of course, that cooks you from the inside, It's one thing to get irradiated from the outside, but from the inside, man, that's just the worst. Resistor, I just wanted to see your screen name. Well, that's cool, man. It did show up. I saw it, yeah. No, it's 378 per liter for the gallon. 3.78 liters per gallon, not 1.78. Anyway, cool. All right, so that's all. That's all I have for now. So we'll just go ahead with a few more questions, and then we'll call it a night. And I have to go back to work tomorrow. Darn it! I'm taking Uber to go to the office, so it's costing me. Of course, I don't. I have to go to the office only twice a week, so it's like 13 euros one way and 13 euros back. And that's when you don't have a truck anymore. I made You Will Survive Doomsday into an audiobook. Jim Hill. Yeah, well, yeah, excellent. Post a link here in the chat. Protect your eyes. Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely. Goggles would be a good option, of course, because you can easily get dust in your eyes, and that would not be good. Not be good at all. That's a very good point, Matt. Thanks. Very good. Oh, £1.78. Okay, GD. Yeah. That's not. That's really. That's freaking cheap. So yeah, lots of things to know. I really suggest that book that's mentioned at the beginning, and I got mine on my phone, but should have really bought the paper version. So it's a good thing to have paper books just in case. Oh, if you have a phone, or if you have like an older phone or something, put it in your Faraday box and with all your files on it, or something. Free download by Bruce Beach. Okay. Okay, the car ECU. Well, the best thing is to buy an older car that doesn't have one. But of course, that's not the case. I don't think there's anything you can do. If the car's in the garage, you probably stand a better chance. But really, the problem is that the outside of the car is metal, and all of that acts. You would think that it would act as a Faraday cage, but it also acts as an antenna, and I'm not sure if that. I'm not sure the car computer would survive. The only thing you can do is to have a backup one, but even then, there are a lot of other electronic components in modern cars that you would have to replace, and that would be. You would have to track them all. You would have to know where they all are. Probably the best thing would be to buy like a moped or like a small motorcycle, cheap, that doesn't have that problem, and keep the few electrical components in a small metal box, like spare ones. But yeah, I don't think a modern car would fare very well. I don't think so. If you're far enough, maybe, but if it's an explosion at high altitude, I'm not sure. Yeah, EMP shield, but how do you do that? You have to know how to do it, and that would be pretty darn difficult. One thing that I use, by the way, for EMP shielding, simply like for small solar panels and stuff, is tin foil. Put your device, like your radio, in a plastic bag, and put tin foil around it. Then you put some tape and you're good to go. All the doors and hook and trunk lead bonded. Yeah, that would help. I'm sure. There's no guarantee. It's if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But of course, it doesn't cost you much to bond the doors and the well, in England they say bonnet, the lid, and the trunk and all that stuff, the hood of the car. Yeah, resistor. You can use. I think it's pretty much the same everywhere. You can use any frequencies on any band for life and death emergencies. Not to chat with your neighbor in an emergency, but for life and death. who's gonna come and give you a fine anyway, right? In that case. 1 EMP and a Tesla is screwed. You bet, yeah. Well, they saw in California they had a lot of problem with people not being able to charge their cars, and I'm not so keen on electric cars. I would have one, but only as a second vehicle. But my first vehicle will be a Land Cruiser, I'll tell you, a diesel Land Cruiser, and that's it. That's Land Cruiser or Land Rover. But you know what they say in Australia? If you want to go into the bush, you take a Land Rover. If you want to come back, you need a Land Cruiser. I'm going to piss off all the British guys on here. I'd love a Land Rover too, guys. A Defender. I'd love to have a Defender, even a Series 3, or 2. But I'd love to have an FJ40 too. Horst Jäger, thanks. Cool. Yep, 73. All right, guys. So we're gonna close up shop pretty soon. We're coming up right on 2 hours. So I'm gonna take a last couple questions here, and then we're gonna call it a night. Amron, yeah, very good observation, Jesse James. Check out Amron. Also, if you know, guys, the prepping frequencies are you have the channel 3 initiative. So PMR channel 3, FRS channel 3, CB channel 3, Muse channel 3 for everything is prepper frequencies. 40 series, I used to have an FJ40, man, it was just awesome. I'd love to have a 40 for the look, My 70 is really, it's a beast, but I think the 40s look better. The links, oh yeah, and you know what, Jim, the links, if you post links though, I'm only gonna have to approve them later because they get, YouTube keeps them for me to check, to approve later, so you won't see that, who gave me 50, who gave me super chat $50, that was, oh yeah, I already commented on that one. Yeah, thanks guys thank you very much for all the guys who signed up to Patreon. I don't know if anybody signed up for Patreon, but if you did, thank you very much. And if you've been a Patreon subscriber, thank you very much. And I couldn't do this without you. Thank you very much to all the guys who sent me a coffee donation. The link is right there. Don't hesitate, guys. You have a super chat too. And that's to help the channel. That's helping me getting gear, lights. I need to get lights. I want to get a couple wireless microphones for the channel, and most of all, I want to fix my truck so I can actually do field operations and buy some stuff to build, wire and stuff to build antennas that I can do builds on the site. But I'm fully back now, and with new ideas and new things to review, new radios to review. And I have a list of stuff in my head that I want to do. So, all right. So very good. Thank you, guys. So we're gonna say our goodbyes now. Thank you very much. I always feel like you guys are friends, and I know it's kind of silly to say that, but it's true. And as you all know, I'm alone here, and I'm just a one-man band, and I have a few friends here, but. I used to, most of my friends are in the US, and I have a few friends here in France, but it's always, it really touches me to have friends all over, and you guys are part of it, and I feel like if we met in person, we would be friends, definitely, and and I know sometimes I'm kind of a hermit, I don't call people, I don't I return mails as much as I can. Sometimes I don't check my email at Radio Preppers very often, but I procrastinate. Just know that. But I always try to reply to the comments. Actually, I reply to practically all the comments, except if I miss one once in a while, but it doesn't happen too often. So if you ask me questions in the comments, I will answer to you to the best of my knowledge. And I'll always do my best to bring you guys the best information that I gather, you know, and test all the stuff. And if you have suggestions, don't hesitate. Send them to me, and I will always take them into consideration. And just keep in mind that it's a lot of work to run a channel like this. And you know, one video you might think that's, you know, oh, you know, 15-20 minutes video, yeah, but it's 6 hours 7 hours of editing every time. So, and I do have a full-time job, although it doesn't pay too much, but and sometimes I just don't feel like it, guys. I just don't feel like it sometimes. I just and it's sad to say, but all those lockdowns and stuff, it's just doesn't number on your mood, you know. And I'm not the kind of guy who gets depressed. Not at all. You know, I'm always happy-go-lucky, but sometimes it does slow me down, so to speak. So I'm kind of waking up from that now, and I'm gonna start moving a little bit more. All right, so. You'll have a very good, I don't know if it's night over there. Here it's well, it's about 5 p.m. So I know it's much earlier in the US. Wherever you guys are, like I'll always say, all right, good to see you. I'm gonna look at the chat a little bit more. It's like I don't want to leave, you know. It's like you're having a good time with your friends and you don't want to go home. It's a little bit like that. Yeah, definitely. All right, so thank you. I will do other live streams if I have interesting stuff to bring up. Don't forget that we have radiopreppers.com. The forum is working. It's been a little bit abandoned, kind of. Not abandoned, but it's slowed down quite a bit. There is also the Facebook group that's been quite active. Lots of people signing up every day on Facebook. But you know, the problem with Facebook is that you never know what they're going to do, if they're going to censor anything or whatever. So be careful with Facebook. Make sure you sign up on the forum at radiopreppers.com as well. You never know what's going to happen. And make sure you also sign up on Odyssey, because all those videos that I publish are on Odyssey. And if you are on Odyssey, find me there, and there's a link down below somewhere. And you can find me on Odyssey. And in case anything happens on YouTube, you can find me on Odyssey and keep watching the channel. All right, thanks again, guys. I see that it's quite slowed down quite a bit now, so I'm going to call it a night. I didn't do much with the K1. Yeah, next time maybe I'll have another radio and do more contacts, like maybe USB LSB. But that was kind of just to have a radio, basically. And you know, I did make a contact with Marco, so that's always a plus. So I wish you all the best, and hopefully everything will be fine in the world. I think it will, but you know, just in case, be ready. Neglected, not abandoned. That's right, Jim. Yeah, that's it. And it's my fault too, because I haven't been posting there either. So, but let's try to change that. And thank you very much, guys. You all have a good one, and I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one.